So the NWA is trying to come back from the doldrums of fire and pus that took place when it completely destroyed their roster and literally almost killed the company. They're trying to make a comeback. So they have a pay-per-view on March the 21st called Back for the Attack. Yes, March the 21st, the same day as WWE's Fastlane. It will be airing live on Fight. So what happened is after the NWA announced that they will be returning, there was some some good feelings in the air amongst some of the wrestling audience. There were some people there that was actually interested. And then they started to release the names of some of the people who were going to be there, and things got kind of ugly. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the NWA is still alive. They also got a pretty sweet NWA day, which I'm going to go through that. But you have the bad, which is this card and some of the talent that's going to be involved. And the ugly, meaning all of the progressive wrestling fans that have gone through and literally didn't know a lot of these guys, but found out some of them had criminal records or sexual harassment or domestic violence abuse charges against them, and decided they were going to try to cancel the NWA because of some of these guys. So let's start with the bad. Okay, Back for the Attack will be live on Fight TV, March the 21st, 2021. I'm going to read out the card, and then I'm going to go. I'm going to end this on a good note. I'm going to end it on the good note, so I'm going to get a good next. So we're going to start with the bad, the ugly, and the good. So we're going to start with the bad. This card sucks. All right, this card sucks. Let's just go through the card. J.R. Kratos versus Tyrus. Yes, the Funkasaurus will be wrestling on this show. Crimson versus Slice Boogie versus Jax Dane versus Jordan Clearwater. Crimson of TNA fame. Jax Dane, I think he's a former NWA champion. Jordan Clearwater, who I've only seen twice before. I think I've seen him on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I'm pretty sure I've seen him wrestle Nick Aldis on one of these United Wrestling Federation shows or whatever. Slice Boogie, I've never even heard of. The NWA Women's Title #1 contender match, Thunder Rosa versus Camille. All right, that's fine. There's nothing wrong there. The NWA National Championship, Trevor Murdoch versus Chris Adonis. For those of you who don't know, Chris Adonis is Chris Masters. So they got the masterpiece on here, which is pretty fucking cool. I personally would have pushed him up higher, a little bit higher on the card, but I think this is their secondary championship. I don't know if it's the television title or the national title. I don't know. But Chris Masters being involved is a great look. I think he's a good guy to have on the show. The NWA World's Television Championship, the Pope, Elijah Burke, or is it? Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Elijah Burke. Will be wrestling Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer was Bram in TNA. He was also a member of the Ascension. I don't remember what his name was in the Ascension. And the main event, Nick Aldis will defend Sweet Charlotte versus Aaron Stevens. Aaron Stevens. And I was like, not thrilled about that one. Now, to be honest, I think this is a Josephus tribute sort of situation here, where Aaron Stevens was with Josephus for a long time. He recently passed away, which is one of the ugly things about this show is he was the question mark for people who don't know. So if you watched NWA Power, he was the question mark. And he recently passed away. I don't remember what he passed away from, but Aaron Stevens has basically said that this match is not going to be him doing any characters. He's going to wrestle this match as himself. And it's going to be a Josephus tribute. So despite the fact that I don't like this main event, I'm going to give it a pass because, the guy's friend died and he wants to do something very special for his friend. So I'm okay with that. Now the ugly, the truly, truly ugly. Wrestling fans found out about Tom Latimer, found out about Tyrus, and found out about Crimson. So, because everybody knows how to use a Google machine, even though people can't really read and comprehend, they found out that these guys have been wrapped up in some ugly, ugly stuff. Ugly, ugly things. Very ugly things. Which one should we go through first? Let's start with the oldest one. Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer, formerly known as Bram, used to be in NXT, was a member of the Ascension, used to be married to Charlotte Flair. Believe it or not. So, what happened? They got divorced. Doesn't matter that they got divorced. This guy was arrested for domestic battery and strangulation in 2015. People found this out. NWA is harboring domestic violence guys and sexual predators, etc., etc. So let's go through what happened. The charges were dropped against Bram. He never faced any jail time. This is from PW Insider. Charges of domestic battery and by strangulation and false imprisonment against TNA star Thomas Bram Latimer has been dropped as the prosecutor has declined to press charges. PWInsider.com confirmed this afternoon with Latimer's attorney, Brandon M. Daniels. Quote, "Our office is pleased to announce that Mr. Latimer's case has been successfully resolved, resulting in a decision by the state's attorney's office whereby they have declined to prosecute our client in the aforementioned charges. Our office has always maintained that once the entirety of the facts, evidence, and witness statements are brought forth, our client will be exonerated of the allegations." Latimer was arrested on August the 30th in Gulfport, Florida, and charged with one count of domestic battery by strangulation, and as well as one count of false imprisonment after authorities responded to calls of a large argument at Latimer's co-op. Although arresting officers reported in their arrest report that Latimer admitting holding down the victim by her throat and refusing to let her leave the bedroom, Latimer had pled not guilty to all charges. Latimer was suspended indefinitely by TNA upon being arrested, with TNA's John Gaborick stating the suspension would run through the resolution of the criminal case against him. With the case now out of the way, the door is open for Latimer's theoretical return to the company. He was divorced from Charlotte not too long after this. So that was very ugly. But the charges were dropped. Did the guy actually do anything? Who knows? But the charges were dropped, and that's not good enough. He was accused. So we have to ruin his life. And he's not allowed to perform or make money in the business that he is trained in because, he got into an argument with his wife. Or wife, girlfriend, not his wife, his girlfriend. I think he might have been, they were on the verge of divorce, him and Charlotte, and he was seeing somebody else. They weren't formally divorced yet. For the record, he did not, Charlotte was not the victim in this situation. It was another woman. I think they had been broken up. They were on the verge of divorce. He was seeing somebody else. Him and this other lady got into it, and that's what led him to him getting arrested. But it wasn't just Tom Latimer, a.k.a. Bram. Also, Crimson got arrested for domestic violence. 2016. PW Insider has issued the following today. The Law Office of Kimberly Turney and Associates PLLC, which was representing the former TNA talent Anthony Crimson Mayweather in regard to his April arrest for domestic assault in Clarksville, Tennessee. The charges were dismissed against Crimson. Clarksville, Tennessee, August 24, 2006. Charges against Anthony Gregory Mayweather, known in TNA circles as Crimson, have been dismissed by the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. Mr. Mayweather was charged with domestic assault by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in April 2016. Mr. Mayweather's attorney, Kimberly Turner, subsequently met with the District Attorney's Office to offer additional information for their consideration, and following discussions between Ms. Turner and the District Attorney's Office, the charge against Mr. Mayweather was dismissed on July 22, 2016. Mrs. Turner reports that, quote, "This has been a difficult time for the Mayweather family, and they are grateful to the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office for considering all the information provided and promptly dismissing the charge against Anthony. All charges all records of the charges against Mr. Mayweather have been expunged." Mayweather was arrested and charged with domestic assault on April the 3rd after authorities received a phone call about a man headbutting his wife outside of a hotel in Clarksville, Tennessee. After responding to a call about the assault in Midtown Inn, police found a woman, Mayweather's wife, bleeding from her nose and lip, who insisted that everything was fine. Mayweather was with her, and the couple denied anything happened, but Mayweather was, quote, very defensive about the police trying to question his wife about what happened. Mayweather's wife claimed she fell and nothing had happened between her and her husband. A security guard from a nearby hotel told authorities that he witnessed a headbutt. At the time, Mayweather was arrested and charged with domestic assault. His wife, Heather Mayweather, 32, was arrested and charged with public intoxication. Her arrest warrant described her at the time as a danger to herself. So these situations are not cut and dry. These situations are not cut and dry. That situation had an actual witness who still said, hey, I saw the guy headbutt his wife. Did it happen? I don't know. Did he go to jail? Nope. Charges were dropped, but that's not enough. That's not enough for the progressive wrestling fan. It's not enough. But the big one that they're after is Tyrus. Tyrus was sued for sexual harassment. Sexual harassment by, and this is the real reason why they hate Tyrus. Because sexual harassment is far less than what we've heard so far. Right? Like what we heard so far is some really brutal shit. Like you holding your wife down by her throat, you headbutting a woman in the face. That's some really bad shit. Okay? That's pretty bad. This was supposedly just sexual harassment, but Tyrus's real crime is that he is a conservative. He's on Fox News. That's his real crime. And of course, it doesn't help that the Fox News situation is how he ended up in this sexual harassment situation anyway. So let's learn about what old Tyrus supposedly did in terms of sexual harassment. This is from 2019. Britt McHenry sues Fox News over a sexual harassment claim against former co-host Tyrus. This is from the LA Times. Fox Nation personality Britt McHenry is suing Fox News, claiming the network has failed to address sexual harassment complaints she made against her former co-host Tyrus. The suit, filed Tuesday in New York State Supreme Court, alleges that Tyrus, whose real name is George Murdoch, sent McHenry sexually suggestive text messages and photos and behaved inappropriately toward her when they were teamed last year as co-hosts for the Fox Nation show Un-PC. How ironic. That's very ironic. She also alleges that he created a hostile work environment on the set of the program after she rebuffed his advances. Murdoch, who is not related to the Murdoch family that controls Fox News' parent company, is also named in the suit along with John Finley, the executive in charge of Fox Nation, and Jennifer Raucher, executive producer of Un-PC. McHenry, who is represented by attorney Lisa Bloom, first complained to Fox News about the alleged harassment earlier this year. Two outside law firms were eventually brought in to investigate the allegations. Neither inquiry supported McHenry's claims, according to the company. Let me read that one more time. McHenry, who is represented by attorney Lisa Bloom, first complained to Fox News about the alleged harassment earlier this year. Two outside law firms were eventually brought in to investigate the allegations. Neither inquiry supported McHenry's claims. McHenry and Murdoch both remain employed at Fox Nation. After the investigation of McHenry's claims in June, she was given a new co-host on Un-PC, while Murdoch was removed and given his own interview program that often takes him outside of the Fox News studios. McHenry also filed a confidential complaint about Murdoch and Fox News with the New York State Division of Human Rights in October. In a statement, a Fox News representative said the company continues to stand by the results of the two investigations conducted by the outside firms. Quote, Ms. McHenry's lawsuit recycles the same allegations she filed with the New York State Division of Human Rights in October, to which we filed a response on Friday. A Fox News representative said in a statement, as we have previously stated, Ms. McHenry's allegations have been fully investigated, and we are confident our actions will be deemed entirely appropriate in litigation. We expect all of her claims to be dismissed. Fox News has previously, they're about to go into something else, a completely different thing about Roger Ailes and stuff like that. McHenry's suit said that based on her experience, Fox News stated policy that it has a, quote, zero tolerance for sexual harassment in the workplace. And she says it's a dangerous lie. In practice, Fox News remains a sanctuary for sexual harassers, coddling and enabling the men who abuse female employees. Both McHenry and Murdoch were unconventional hires for Fox News. Murdoch is a heavily tattooed former pro wrestler. He performed in the WWE as Brodus Clay, who became a Fox News contributor in 2016. McHenry is a one-time ESPN correspondent who became infamous through a viral security camera video that showed her berating a towing company employee while retrieving her vehicle from a parking lot. When McHenry, who is white, was let go from ESPN during a round of layoffs, in 2017, she said her race was a factor. McHenry and Murdoch were teamed at the launch of Fox Nation, a subscription-based streaming service that offers conservative talk shows and documentaries aimed at ardent Fox News fans. Okay, I think that's enough. We don't need to read. The rest of that is irrelevant. So that's a lot, right? So we got a lot of stuff going on here. And it's not exactly all good. Now, to be quite honest, domestic assault, domestic battery, domestic violence is pretty bad. It's pretty bad stuff. But sexual harassment is one of the easiest things in the world to get caught up in. Okay? Mainly because nobody knows what the fuck it means. People say, well, it's unrequited sexual advances. It's like, how do you know it's unrequited until you actually offer it? So, did he do it? I don't know. But they said independent law firms looked into it already and found that there was no real cause for these allegations. The woman also seems to be a bit of a troublemaker, which of course doesn't mean she's a liar, but it does, it says something about her character. She was yelling at this towing guy, which ended up getting her fired. She might just be a little bit of a bitch. Who knows? That doesn't mean that she's lying. Both could be true. She could be a bitch and have been sexually harassed. But ultimately, Tyrus was not arrested. And this whole situation is foggy as all hell. These people are not going to be allowed to continue living their lives because people have decided that they were going to file charges against them, even if the charges were dropped, even if the charges go away, even if there are no charges, because we've seen through the whole speaking out engagements and all that type of stuff that sometimes you don't even need to get arrested. It could be something you don't even need to get arrested for. Because it doesn't always have to be that you abused anybody or that you actually did anything to anybody. It's just that somebody said you did something. That's the standard. Somebody said you did something. And the NWA, to their credit, is not removing any of these guys. The show is in a couple of days. They're not shuffling the card. Now, there have been people who have been saying, like, look at all of these talents that you could have signed. Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins fame. Look at all of these people you could have signed. And you signed domestic abusers and sexual harassers. I will never support the NWA. Dave Lagana, Tyrus, Jim Cornette. I will never support the NWA because they support racists and sexists. This is a new wrestling fan. People who probably, if we're going to be honest, they weren't going to watch this anyway, right? They weren't going to watch it anyway. They just want to dogpile and cancel culture the NWA. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, but there is some good. It was announced on March the 18th that October 21st will officially be dubbed NWA Day in Georgia. This is from Fightful. October 21 will forever be known as NWA Day in the state of Georgia. Georgia has forever been known as a hotbed of professional wrestling. Georgia Championship Wrestling, the territory that started the 605 time slot on TBS, paved the way for WCW. Now that relationship between Georgia and NWA is continuing as NWA World Champion Nick Aldis has announced that October 21 will officially be NWA Day in the state of Georgia. Nick Aldis tweeted, "It was an honor to receive, on behalf of the NWA, the Senate resolution declaring October 21 NWA Day in the great state of Georgia. Governor Kemp and Senator Mullis were very welcoming and proud of the historic and continued relationship between the state and the NWA." There's a letter here. I think it's the declaration. So let's see what's on the declaration. I have to go to his tweet. And so let's see here. It says, Nick Aldis defeated Cody Rhodes, the son of the late Dusty Rhodes, for the NWA Championship on October 21, 2018. And whereas the title reign of the current champion, Nick Aldis, now exceeds 800 days, and therefore one of the 8 longest and historically significant title reigns in the history of National Wrestling Alliance, and whereas Nick Aldis' tenure as champion is characterized by tremendous dignity, respect for professional sports, charitable work, and acts of service to public education, and whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that this remarkable and distinguished organization and its deep historic connections to the state of Georgia be recognized appropriately by recognizing a day significant to the organization's history and its honor. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the National Wrestling Alliance for its significance to the state of Georgia and recognize October 21, 2021, the anniversary of Nick Aldis' historic National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Championship victory over Cody Rhodes, as National Wrestling Alliance Day. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate is authorized and directed to make appropriate copies of this resolution available for distribution to Mr. William Patrick Corgan, Mr. Nick Aldis, and Dr. Robert Stinson. Okay, I'm pretty sure Cody is over there just ready to rip his jaw off. He's probably calling this Jacksonville right now. Like, look, the AEW really does great work in Jacksonville, and I think we should have an AEW day. Like, I think that would be really good. Tony, don't you agree? Don't you agree that AEW deserves its own day? But this is cool. This is pretty cool. So it hasn't all been bad. It hasn't all been bad. The show, I will give it a chance. If I remember to catch it. Let's go through the card one more time, because I know I went through a lot of shit, and then I went through the card, and I went through a lot of other stuff. Let's go through the card one more time. JR Kratos versus Tyrus. I have zero interest in that. Crimson versus Slice Boogie versus Jax Dane versus Jordan Clearwater. This match is for no reason. It's just a fatal 4-way match for no reason. I have no interest in that. The NWA Women's Title #1 contender match, Thunder Rosa versus Camille. I do have an interest in that. The NWA National Championship match, Trevor Murdoch, the champion, versus Chris Adonis. I'm only half interested in this because I like Chris Masters. The NWA Television Championship, Da Pope, who is the champion, will defend against Tom Latimer. I'm okay. I'm indifferent. I'm a big fan of Da Pope when he's not trying to be dusty all the time. And the main event is the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Nick Aldis will defend against Aaron Stevens. So back for the attack, May 21, 2021. It's gonna be a tough time. It's gonna be a tough sell, because you're gonna have so many people who are gonna want the NWA to fail. I don't have those attitudes, right? So, but I thought this might be an interesting thing to talk about, because there's so much floating around it, and it's wrestling, I'm willing to give it a fair shot. Let's see if Billy Corgan can save it, if he can save the NWA. Because I'm really thinking like the NWA lost a lot of talent. They lost Zicky Dice, they lost Ricky Starks, they lost a lot of people, and then they also, and I will agree with the people who are criticizing some of their choices, that maybe they didn't make the best choices when it comes to signing talent. but not because these guys are criminals or anything, but just because I think you need to get some exciting young guys on this roster too. Like, I think all of these guys are most of them are pretty old. You know, I think Jordan Clearwater might be the youngest person on the roster, on this roster. I don't know about the regular roster. And I don't really know how old he is, but he just looks younger than everybody else. So he just looks like the fresh face amongst all these old grizzled veterans. So here's hoping the NWA turns out pretty good. If I can catch the matches, I'll probably do a review. But thank you guys for your time. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, use the hashtag 3ConCommentaries or send cash via the Cash App, to feed my shawarma addiction. Or you could also, if you want to send an email, send it to mrslade84@gmail.com. You want to follow me on Twitter at mongoslade8. Thank you guys one more time, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah, shed light. I know what that's like.